All right, adventurers, gear up. Today we're spelunking into the history of lost civilizations, the really lost ones.
And more importantly, how to use them in your D&D games. Because who doesn't love a good mystery?
Right. It's like that Indiana Jones itch, unearthing some forgotten temple, last to the jungle. But how do we make that more than just a cool visual?
That's where the psychology of it comes in. See, lost civilizations, they tap into this primal fascination with the past, with things forgotten. It's about uncovering secrets.
It's true. Like, even as a kid, those myths, Atlantis, El Dorado, total fascination.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder of piecing together the story of something great, now gone. That's potent stuff in storytelling.
Okay, so less history lecture, more like dropping clues to get players invested.
Think of it like this. It's the gaps in history that make lost civilizations so compelling. It's the unanswered questions that really get the imagination going.
So instead of saying, here's the entire history of this civilization, it's more like, here's a weathered statue with a weird inscription. No one knows what it means.
Precisely. And that mystery, that inscription, it should linger. Maybe it's just a small piece of a much larger puzzle, something that unfolds over time.
Okay, I'm with you. So how do we do that? How do we build that mystery into the game itself?
Well, a good starting point is to think about the legacy these civilizations left behind.
Legacy, huh? So not just what happened to them, but how are they still impacting the world even centuries later?
Exactly. Let's say your players are trekking through a desert and they come across, say, a ruined port city, docks, warehouses, even ships run aground. But there's no water for miles.
Okay, that's eerie. I'd want to know more.
Exactly. That one visual detail immediately raises questions. It makes the world feel deeper.
So we've established lost civilizations are cool, but how do we actually build one? Like from scratch? Where do you even start?
Well, our research suggests starting big. Define the civilization's rise and fall. What were they known for? What made them unique?
So like, were they master sorcerers?
Yeah.
Amazing builders? Did they have like a pact with dragons?
And just as importantly, what led to their downfall? Natural disaster, war, or something more sinister.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Did their magic backfire, or did they anger some powerful entity?
See that downfall? That's a goldmine for campaign hooks. Maybe their downfall unleashed a magical plague. Now, centuries later, the players have to find a cure rooted in that civilization's magic.
Okay, that's good. So we've got the big picture, the rise and fall. What about the smaller details? How do we bring these civilizations to life?
Details are key. Think about their culture, their beliefs, their art. Did they have unique traditions, social structures?
So instead of just saying you find a crumbling temple, it's more like you discover a temple to some jackal-headed deity, its walls covered in murals depicting a war against, like, creatures made of shadow.
There you go. Those details, even small ones, they make it real. They make your players want to learn more.
And those details can lead to more clues, right? Maybe that jackal-headed god ties into a prophecy the party's trying to uncover.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to draw inspiration from real-world history and mythology, but always make it your own.
Okay, so we've got the key elements of a lost civilization, but what about the how? How do we actually weave these forgotten kingdoms into our campaigns in a way that feels, I don't know, natural, exciting?
That's where the real fun begins. Why don't we dive into some campaign ideas? Because our sources had some really interesting ones.
You know, when I think about lost civilizations, I always think about adventures and expeditions into the unknown, searching for some legendary city lost to time.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic for a reason, right? That search for the lost city trope. It's in our DNA as storytellers, and our sources really emphasize why it works so well for D&D.
Yeah, there's something exciting about going into the unknown, following old maps and rumors to a place lost to time.
Totally. Think like Indiana Jones, but with more magic.
And probably a beholder or two.
Oh, definitely some beholders. And the journey the players go on is just as important as where they end up.
So think about all the different places the characters go through and the challenges they face on the way to this lost city.
Right, like treacherous mountain passes and dense jungles.
Don't forget a haunted swamp or two.
Of course, a haunted swamp or two. And they meet all these interesting people along the way.
Oh yeah, like a tribe descended from the lost civilization who were sworn to protect its secrets.
Maybe another adventuring party in competition with the players.
Yeah, and they aren't afraid to fight dirty.
You know, it wouldn't be an adventure without some competition. The source actually mentions the lost city being a moving target.
What? So it's not in the same place.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Like it moves around because of magic or is tied to a celestial event or something.
So the players could get to the X on their map, and there's nothing there.
Or maybe they're clues that they just missed it.
That'll keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
But let's say they DO find this city. It can't just be ghosts and cobwebs, right?
Right, you have to figure out who or what is still there.
Besides the ghosts.
Right besides the ghosts. The book mentions descendants of the civilization, but their culture has changed over time.
Makes sense after being isolated for so long.
Right. Or maybe someone or something else moved in.
Like squatters.
Well, more like a monstrous race or a colony of aberrations.
Or a dragon.
Or a dragon who made the city its lair.
So the players are expecting an empty city, but it's not, and they have to think fast.
Exactly. That's what makes it fun. Okay, so Search for a Lost City is a classic, but I'm ready for another campaign idea.
Me too. What else did our sources dig up?
How about this? Remember how we said the downfall of a civilization is a good place to start a campaign?
Yeah.
Well, let's go with that, but with unleashing ancient evils.
I am so here for that.
Yeah,
It sounds spooky and Lovecraftian.
It's a classic, but with a lot of options. The campaign could start simple. The players are hired to excavate a ruin or get an artifact or something.
Okay.
But they accidentally break a seal or wake up a god or something and unleash a curse on the world.
Talk about an oopsie moment.
Right. It's not just about finding the lost civilization now, but about dealing with what happens because they found it.
I like it. So how would we make that a full campaign?
You could have the ancient evil slowly reveal itself. It could start with some hauntings or creatures near the disturbance.
So it's not a huge threat at first?
Right, but it gets stronger over time and the stakes go up as the campaign goes on.
And it eventually threatens the whole world.
Exactly. But it has to be tied back to the civilization somehow.
Right. It can't just be a random evil dude.
It has to be connected. We can use those details we talked about earlier. Maybe the civilization imprisoned this evil and their magic is fading.
So their mistakes come back to haunt them. Literally. Okay, I love this idea of unleashing ancient evils. It has a good mix of action and intrigue, but I feel like our sources have even more ideas. Okay, you have to give me another campaign idea. I need more.
All right. This time we're dealing with knowledge, and not just any knowledge. We're talking about the long-forgotten, world-altering kind.
Okay, hold on. I need to grab my notebook for this. World-altering knowledge.
The source calls this one the race for forgotten knowledge. Imagine your players, right? They find a piece of a map.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
This isn't just any map. Maybe it's a Netherese star chart pointing to a lost city. But here's the thing. They're not alone. Another group is searching too.
Ooh, competition.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about? Like rival adventurers? Or something more sinister?
Okay, another adventuring party, sure. Or maybe an organization like the Zentarum. They're always up to something.
The Zentarum involved, now the stakes are really high.
And here's where things get even more interesting. What if this knowledge, this thing they're all looking for, is dangerous?
Okay, yeah, that changes things. Like, if it falls into the wrong hands, it could be bad news.
Exactly. Now the players have a decision to make. Do they try to secure this knowledge, even if it means getting a little morally gray?
Or do they destroy it, making sure and no one can use it? Man, that's a tough call.
Right. Suddenly, it's not just about finding the treasure at the end of the map. It's about what that treasure represents and what it could do.
We've gone from exploring ruins to a full-on moral dilemma. I love it.
And that's what makes lost civilizations so fascinating. They're not just about the past. They make us think about ambition, about power, and about the choices we make in their pursuit.
And speaking of fascinating civilizations, our source reminded us that D&D lore is full of them.
Oh, absolutely. Why don't we start with a classic, the Netherese Empire.
Oh man, the Netherese, floating cities, magic that could level mountains. They were like the ultimate wizards.
They really pushed the boundaries of arcane magic. But their story is also a cautionary tale. They reached too far, too fast, and their empire crumbled.
Because of their own magic. It's like they flew too close to the sun, magically speaking.
Exactly. And now their ruins are scattered across the world, full of wonders and dangers.
So what you're saying is they're a gold mine for dungeon masters.
Think about it. Do your players try to understand Netherese magic, risking the same fate? Or do they find a way to use that knowledge for good?
So many possibilities. Okay, I need another example. What other lost civilizations are lurking in D&D lore?
Let's go with something a little more. Serpentine. Ever heard of the Yuan-Ti?
Oh yeah, the Yuan-Ti. They're like snake people, right? But with ancient temples and forbidden rituals, it's giving me those Indiana Jones vibes again.
You're getting it. Their history is full of ambition and a thirst for power. They wanted to ascend, to become more than mortal.
But it backfired. There seems to be a pattern here.
Let's just say their methods were questionable. And they ultimately led to their downfall.
Another cautionary tale. I'm sensing a theme here, and I like it.
It's a good reminder even for our players. Power is tempting, but it comes at a cost. Are they willing to pay it?
So when we're building encounters with the Yuan-Ti, it's not just about fighting snake people. It's about the themes, the temptation of power, the allure of the forbidden.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. Maybe your players find a Yuan-Ti artifact, something that was used in a ritual, to contact the Netherese. Suddenly, you've got a connection between two lost civilizations and a whole new set of mysteries.
This whole conversation has been like opening a treasure chest of campaign ideas.
That's what we were hoping for. Lost civilizations offer so much, whether you're exploring ancient ruins, battling forgotten evils, or uncovering secrets that could reshape the world.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has inspired you to create your own lost civilizations, because there are stories waiting to be told in those forgotten corners of your games. Until next time, happy adventuring.